Excuse my little chicken legs. So, here we are in this outstanding Nevraz, Oregon Steel Mills, Nevraz, Portland exercise facility. I want to take a minute to talk about plateauing. So for those of you who don't know, my weight loss journey started in March 2016. Well, it started in earnest in March 2016, but since then I've lost about almost 100 pounds. Here's a picture. And it hasn't happened all at once. It hasn't been a linear progression from 308 down to 217. But it's come in stages, right? Stepping down each time. And I want to talk about kind of some of the reasons that plateauing happens. Now obviously plateauing can happen because you go off the rails, right? It's Christmas time, you go crazy on all the sweets that come. It's Thanksgiving, you just go ham on the turkey. Well, the turkey's not that bad actually, but it's the pumpkin pie and the stuffing and everything else. The accessory foods kind of get you off rails. Guess what? When you don't have a deficit, you don't lose weight. But there's this other part of plateauing that can really get you down, and that's the one I want to talk about. It's the plateau where you do everything right. You follow your diet, you're logging everything in your food journal, you're staying away from the carbs, you're hitting your macros, whatever the case may be, you're eating correctly, and your caloric output is where it's supposed to be as well. You know, you're doing all your exercise, you're hitting all your reps, you're getting all your miles in, all your steps, whatever the case may be. Whatever your program is, you're running it perfectly. And yet, it still feels like you hit a wall. And I kind of want to take a minute to kind of explain what I did to get out of that and why it happened. And the truth be told, I'm experiencing the normal kind of plateau right now, the one where you like donuts too much. But I had the other kind, the I'm doing it right and I'm still plateauing kind before. And here's what happens. When you begin to lose weight, your body has a sort of median level of activity and caloric burn and metabolic rate that it maintains. I mean, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. For me, I had trained my body over the course of 10 or 12 years to just eat junk food and stay sedentary, because that was how I lived my life. And so if you think about it, like all the elements of your body, your central nervous system, your metabolic, like digestive system, your sleep cycle, all those things just kind of get used to your body operating in a certain state. And for me, my body was used to operating at a sedentary, high caloric intake state. And as a result, I gained a ton of weight. Go figure, huh? As you begin to lose weight, your systems take the longest time to adjust. So you'll see the change in your waistline, you'll see the change in your energy level, but there's this part of your brain that just holds on to that set level that you've trained your body to maintain for the last however long it's been. That part of your brain is called your lizard brain. It's commonly referred to as your lizard brain. It's that part of your brain that manages fight or flight. It's that part of your brain that tells the rest of you how to respond to adrenaline. It's the most basic, like, survival mechanism within your brain. And for whatever reason, your reptile brain is the last one to let go of the old lifestyle and adopt the new one. So the rest of you is feeling great. Your endorphins are up because you're exercising, your waistline's getting smaller, and everything's feeling pretty good. But that lizard part of your, oh no, we're operating on a deficit, I gotta hold on to everything. All of a sudden, the fat that you had been burning, that had been losing weight, your reptile part of your brain is holding on to every ounce of it so that you stay alive, basically, because when you lose a ton of weight like that, or when you lose any weight consistently, your body basically thinks it's shutting down. It's the same idea as, you know how, like, if you're holding a baby and you're feeding them and you need to shift, so you take the bottle out of their mouth? Well, they think they're not being fed anymore, and so they start freaking out, but you just readjust and you give the bottle back. Well, it's kind of like that. The reptile brain is the baby. Doesn't really know what's going on, but you know what's going on. The thing is, it takes a long time for your reptile brain to figure out what's going on. So the moral of the story is to just keep doing what you're doing. Don't get discouraged because all of a sudden your scale is maintaining instead of descending. Don't freak out because all of a sudden it feels like you're having to work really, really hard to get your heart rate up where it used to happen really fast. Your metabolism's changing. Your muscles are growing and burning at different rates, and the rest of your body's just kind of freaking out because it's not used to it. Here's the other thing. When you lose weight, most of the time, you also lose muscle. So those muscles that were used to pumping a certain amount of blood, they have to cycle the same amount of blood even though they're losing mass. And so your whole body is just completely thrown out of whack. And the key is to just stay the course. Don't get discouraged. Don't confuse your body even more. Just stay the course. Keep doing what's working. You know, if it gets to where it's been like a month or two and you've been perfect and you've been regimented and you've been following the program, then at that point you might want to seek some other alternatives. You might want to seek out a little change in program or change in diet. You might want to talk to your physician or your strength coach or whatever. But if it's been like 2 weeks and you're like, I lose 1.5 pounds a week like clockwork. What's going on? I haven't lost a pound in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Then don't freak out. Adjusting your program at this point is probably just going to freak your lizard brain out even more. I know that's a weird thing to say and a weird thing to hear, but there it is. So my encouragement to you is let the process happen in steps. It's not a steep dive. It may not even be a gradual dive, but it happens in steps. It happens in processes, and you have to respect the process. That's the only way that you make it a permanent solution. That's the only way that you make it a permanent lifestyle change. You've got to respect the process. You've got to hit every rung in the ladder. Now, Murphy's Law, you will hit every rung in the ladder, but it's better if you hit them in order instead of skipping a bunch and then having to go back. So take good care of yourself. Keep up the good work. Don't freak out and don't get discouraged. It's totally worth it. It's going to be worth your time. It's going to be worth your energy. It's going to be worth the extra years that you add to your life. I'm David Perry. You can find me on Instagram, Fast Miles, Big Smiles. And don't forget, every day is a new starting line. See you later.